Okay, so here's my list of the top 5 movies of 2025. Let me know in the comments below what you think and what your favorite movies of 2025 are as you listen to this video. Anyhow, my pick for the number 5 movie of 2025 is a Netflix release, Frankenstein, which I actually watched in cinemas on its very brief theatrical release run. Frankenstein is a highly stylized, artistic movie, much like Guillermo del Toro's other works. And whilst I am a big fan of Guillermo del Toro and Guillermo del Toro's art style, I had a feeling that this movie would be highly stylized and highly visualized. And I've actually read the book Frankenstein, and Frankenstein to me, it's a gothic tale set in the 18th and 19th century, but this story as a story that's about some sort of niche story about zombies and vampires and ghosts and whatever. I just view this as a story. Like, I've read the book and it's a very serious tale. Everything is written down in a way where you take the story seriously. It's basically about a scientist living in Geneva, Switzerland, who mourns for the death of his mother, and as a result, he's motivated to learn how to bring the dead back to life. And he does so by conducting an experiment where he tries to do various experiments, joining dead limbs and dead bodies together and using like electricity to bring it to life. And it might sound like some sort of fantasy like Star Trek or, I don't know, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but actually, Frankenstein is just a very real story. It's about emotion, and it's a very deeply philosophical story, and it's written very seriously. And I just think that Guillermo del Toro's art style kind of cheapened it a little bit. And overall, this movie, it felt a little bit cartoonish, just the art style and the way that some of the characters spoke. But overall, I thought the acting was pretty good. I disagreed with the casting choice of Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein. But overall, the story of Frankenstein is very good, and overall, Guillermo del Toro is a very good director. So, my only major problem with this movie is that it doesn't match what I envisioned in the book Frankenstein to be. And that being said, Guillermo del Toro is a great director, and this is a great story. So, I would call this a great take on Frankenstein rather than the official, most authentic recreation of Mary Shelley's great book, Frankenstein. So I did enjoy the movie. It was a great movie and it was definitely worth watching. And Jacob Elordi was pretty brilliant, although I'm not even sure he reminded me of the guy I imagine Frankenstein to be, but I actually read the book a long time ago. So overall, despite my disagreements, I have to say the story of Frankenstein is a great story, and Guillermo del Toro is a great director. And this movie is definitely worth it, and it was definitely an entertaining movie. Despite my disagreements, that this is not the most authentic take on Mary Shelley's great book. My number 4 movie of 2025 is a movie I just saw recently. I saw it in IMAX, and that's Avatar: Fire and Ash. And this movie is a visual spectacle. This movie has incredible visual effects, even in 2025, where most of us have already seen a ton of great visual effects over the past few decades. I enjoyed the movie. And the cinematography, in particular, the animated faces of the Navi, the blue alien-like creatures. I enjoyed Avatar and Fire and Ash, and particularly for the spectacle, and particularly how cool it was to see these beautiful visual effects and beautiful battle sequences on the big screen in this kind of water slash fire slash sky world. Like, it was beautiful to watch, especially on the biggest screen you can in 3D in IMAX. So this was the most cinematic experience of 2025. But there are issues I have with Avatar: Fire and Ash, namely the fact that I've actually made a video about this already, so you should check it out. But it's basically about the fact that all the Navi kind of look the same, and it's all blue. All the Navi are blue, and you can't really differentiate, or it's hard to distinguish the characters apart. Not just because of their appearance, but also because of their voice. So yeah, Avatar's got some problems in terms of character building, but in terms of actually presenting a cinematic experience, a must-watch cinematic experience, an experience that is truly a cinematic experience. If nothing else, Avatar Fire and Ash did that better than any movie this year. So, yeah, Avatar Fire and Ash is definitely on this list. For the unmissable cinematic experience it is. And if for no other reason, you should check it out. Okay, so my number three movie of the year is Warfare. Warfare was co-directed by a former military veteran, and you can tell because this movie, it shows me a lot of things about war. It shows me a lot of small details about war, and it shows me particularly one of the things they showed me is the jet flies, where the jets kind of just move super fast, low, and blow up a sandstorm to great cover for the soldiers. So this movie was highly detailed. It felt extremely authentic. You can tell it was partly directed or co-directed by a former military veteran. So I enjoyed this movie, and it's almost a perfect movie. And I don't really have anything bad to say about this movie. I guess you could call it a perfect movie, despite its short length, about 90 minutes. This movie packs more punch at 90 minutes than basically almost any movie. And Warfare was an incredible cinematic experience. And in fact, it could very well be my number one movie on the list. But the other two movies on this list are just as good, maybe even better. Although it depends on what you prefer, because the other two movies on this list are very different. My number two movie on this list is Begonia. Begonia is about two obsessed conspiracy theorists, kind of internet geeks, who believe a corporate CEO, played by Emma Watson, is an alien. And it's a bizarre script, it's a bizarre premise, obviously, but it's a very interesting premise, and thankfully the movie is basically as interesting as this script would imply, and basically as good, if not better, than you might think a very quirky, very niche movie, very unique movie would imply. This is definitely a must-watch experience, a great movie, great direction, and it's a mystery thriller. It's definitely a mystery drama. Definitely one of the best movies of 2045. One of the best movies I've seen ever, and particularly in standing out was the incredible acting, particularly from Jesse Plemons, who plays he plays a kind of a, for lack of a better word, a dumb or a dull-witted character better than almost anybody I've seen, and he's originally played that character in Breaking Bad, but man, that kind of dull, slow-witted country boy type character, man, Jesse Plemons plays that character in a way that is just, he plays that dumb-witted, slow-witted character better than anybody I can think of, and quite honestly, his performance in Begonia may have been the best performance of the year, and he was nominated for a Golden Globe. I think it was Best Actor in a Drama. Was it a comedy slash drama? I think Jesse Owens should definitely win the Academy Award for Best Actor this year, because his performance in this movie was out of this world, good and brilliant, and I'm not sure there's any actor I can think of who can actually play a dull witted or slow witted character quite like Jesse Plemons plays a character. So Begonia, the script, the direction, the acting from Jesse Plemons and Emma Watson was brilliant. So Begonia is definitely one of the best movies of 2025, and definitely a movie you should watch. And my number one pick for best movie of 2025. Before I say this pick, I was actually kind of deadlocked between number three, number two, number one on this list. Warfare, Begonia, and The Housemaid. Which movie will be the best movie of 2025? Obviously, Warfare and The Housemaid are very different movies, so it's kind of hard to compare them. So I guess you could say Warfare is the best action slash war movie of 2025, and The Housemaid is the best drama or thriller of 2025. Although you could say Begonia is also a drama slash thriller. Yeah, I didn't know whether to put Begonia or The Housemaid as the number one movie of 2025, but I have to say I'm just a big fan of Sydney Sweeney, so I will admit that probably some bias made me sway in favor of The Housemaid. The Housemaid's a great movie. It establishes a great premise. It's got great characters, a great story. Sydney Sweeney delivers one of the best performances I've ever seen, and the interplay between the three lead characters played by Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, and Brendan Sklenar. That interplay between those three characters was brilliant, and maybe the best acting all around of 2025. So yeah, The Housemaid is my number one pick for 2025 movie of the year. The Housemaid is a brilliant thriller. It's a brilliant drama, and it's still in cinemas, so you should check it out. I'll admit that I probably am favoring this movie because of my interest in Sydney Sweeney, because she's a great actress and she's also known for something else besides her acting. But she is a brilliant actress, and actually, I have to admit, The Housemaid and Begonia are kind of tied for first place. Like it's not really like a big jump in quality from The Housemaid to Begonia, so I can't really decide which is first place. Although I guess my bias for Sydney Sweeney is swaying me to The Housemaid. So in some ways, Begonia is better. In some ways, The Warfare is better. So it's difficult to compare movies anyway, especially movies of different genres. Although Begonia and The Housemaid are actually of cinema genre. So yeah, I'm just gonna say The Housemaid is the top movie of 2025. I guess you could say maybe it's not the best movie objectively of 2025, but this is my list, so I guess you could call it my top five favorite movies of 2025. So The Housemaid is my number one pick for the best movie of 2025. It's not necessarily a perfect movie. I think everything establishing the scene, everything leading up to the mystery, everything leading up to reveals was perfect. But after the reveals, after the twists were revealed, I'm not sure this movie handled what happens after the twists were revealed quite that well. So that's why The Housemaid is not a perfect movie, but I enjoyed Sydney Sweeney, and this was the best cinematic experience of Sydney Sweeney that I've ever experienced. So, yeah, in all honesty, I think The Housemaid and Begonia are probably tied for the best movie of 2025. Anyhow, let me know in the comments below what your favorite picks for the best movies of 2025 are. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. See ya.